I am an indie film lifer. This is the realization that I came to after Sean Baker's speech at the Independent Spirit Awards. And if you haven't listened to that speech, I implore you to please go check it out. I'll link to it in the description so you can just click that and go watch it. It's a, truly, truly wonderful speech. And real quick, I do want to say shout out to Film Independent for allowing all the winners to go on as long as they needed to for their speeches. They were never, forced off to finish and wrap out their speeches. I really do appreciate that because that's how we got this wonderful speech. But, let's really dive into what it is about. I'm going to read a portion of it and why it sort of spoke to me and whatnot. So here's what Sean said in a part of it. I'm an indie film lifer, and I know that there are other indie film lifers in this room. Those who don't see indie films as calling cards. Those who don't make these films to land a series or a studio film. Some of us want to make personal films that are intended for theatrical release with subject matter that would never be greenlit by big studios. We want complete artistic freedom and the freedom to cast who is right for the role, not who we're forced to cast considering box office value or how many followers they have on social media. The system has to change because this is simply unsustainable. Now, before that, he kind of highlights the state of the industry as it is, and it's not in the healthiest shape for sure. But he also finishes the speech with a kind of rallying cry for all of us to know our worth. And that's what I want to really echo is that part, to know your worth and to also just have it be acceptable that this is what we want out of life, In general, right, it feels like society always tries to push some BS definition of what success is. And if you're a filmmaker, they try to push of like what they see as successful, right? It's doing like a Marvel movie or doing this or that, right? And, certainly in many ways, it can be a justification if you get an Oscar nomination or even an Indie Spirit Award nomination of like, now you're successful, blah, blah, but what are you going to do with it? Well, even if those things aren't happening for you, by continuing to make movies and that ability, that is your form of success already. My friend Ian Kaiser, he's a producer, and he did a movie called St. Francis, and he did a movie called Ghostlight. Both have been nominated for Indie Spirit Awards thus far. He has not won. But the fact that he was nominated is amazing. And the bigger fact is the fact that he keeps, making movies and they resonate and it's so well done. And they're going to be coming, they have another project that they're working on, stuff like that. That's the victory, right? And, the sad part is the funding. People are much more tighter with their purses and stuff like that, but we have to demand that value. And it's not egotistical and stuff like that. We have to demand that the system itself changes so it is sustainable. As one of my friends, dear friends, Khalil Abderrahim talks about, there's always money and someone's got it and it's going somewhere, right? So why not to you? Because, with all these movies and stuff like that out there, people are making money. And the truth of it all is, especially on the micro budget level, people don't want to fund your movie. But in terms of getting distribution, listen, unless your movie's absolute dog shit, you will get distribution. Now, whether or not you will get paid is a separate matter entirely, because ultimately what they're trying to do is just take on quantity. And, even if your movie makes them $100 as part of their distribution, they got 10,000 of these and they'll make money and that's their livelihood and stuff like that. So it's a really effed up system, all things considered. And, they want you to do the promotion and this and that, and it really hinges on you. And for the most part, yes, there's a rev split, but you don't get to participate until it's like very successful. And I've talked about this kind of in the past, like you might be better off just self-distributing your own movie or art in general, because that threshold of making money will be that much lower. You don't have to do millions and millions of sales. You could just do a couple hundred and, make some money, right? It goes back to the Kevin Kelly, 1,000 True Fans principle. And if you're unfamiliar, look that up. I encourage you. Very, very inspiring. Like an actual concept, not just like this heady theoretical thing, but an actual practical thing for any artist. But yeah, I do want to kind of just highlight that that aspect of, you know, whether indie film or just any indie art, is that, you know, we obviously are restrained by budgets and we have to work within what we got. Excuse me. But there is a way to make it work, and there is a way to not shun away from demanding your value, you know? Like, yes, in many ways, all indie artists beg, borrow, and steal. And by the way, I steal in the broader good sense, like steal shots, for example, in indie filmmaking, right? Where you don't pay for permits and stuff like that. Essentially like a victimless crime, right? But, you know, it doesn't mean that we also can't see these things as investments and stuff like that. And we can prepare ways for investors that this could be a value, and we have to get creative with telling them, okay, how we can, you know, we won't, not to necessarily for us to do all the marketing, but here's how you could market a movie like this, right? Sadly, the industry is very risk averse, which is stupid in itself, because they think like all these surefire bets, like if they truly knew what would work, like all the films that they make would truly work, but they don't always work, you know? So to lay that claim is stupid. So all in all, I just want to, you know, stand on the shoulders of Sean Baker and start to do away with these limiting beliefs we have as indie filmmakers, and perhaps by extension, indie artists, you know, and to know that it's okay to want to do the art that we want. You know, I myself am not interested in, you know, let's say a Marvel movie and stuff like that. It's just not for me. I'd rather work on my projects and also the projects of my friends, right? It's not just about me, but I want to work on stuff that we're all passionate about and seeing each other grow. Like that to me is success. That's what I want to do in life. So, yeah, you know, just kind of wanted to highlight that, and, you know, hopefully much like I felt seen and kind of had that realization, like, yeah, hell yeah, with Sean Baker's speech, maybe, you know, if nothing else, that this is an introduction to that speech, and you can have the same resonance with it as I do.